It's a Tuesday edition here on Zero Blog 30, and today we have 5 rounds in the magazine. Round number 1, a woman sucking dick. This is the bravest story you're going to hear all day. Round number 2, our pals, the Air Force Security Force defenders, have some explaining to do as some fella just snuck on base and was doing a little plane goofing on the flight line at Andrews Air Force Base. Round number 3, the Pentagon released the results of the first ever service-wide hazing data. It turns out that the Space Force leads all branches in hazing reports. Just kidding. It's the Marines. Who would have ever thought? It's the Marines. Round number 4. It's time to update the safety brief. A woman used Gorilla Glue instead of hairspray in order to keep her hair down when she should have known that the Air Force released their new grooming standards, and it's essentially just have a ponytail and you're fine. Round number 5, it's time to talk about time and space and how folks are attempting to bend time like Beckham. Put on your scientist hats and lab coats, everybody. We're going to go on an intergalactic trip. China is also already trying to use time machines in their military. We're going to have a little story about that as well. And all that is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Key9. Key9 Pro Gear. They have the finest backpacks in the world that no one even comes close. They got assault packs. They got boot packs. They got everyday carry bag. If you're trying to do a bug out bag, they got that too. They got all kinds of stuff. Any situation you might find yourself in, whether you're like that one fella and you're why does it seem like every single type of like end of days show always ends up in Los Angeles and like those big ditches that they have, essentially like the big concrete ditches? It feels like every end of times movie is in those places, right?
Yes.
Throw on one of those things and you can go into with a Key9 backpack. You're going to have all kinds of stuff. As long as you spend $75, you could split it over $35 into 4 easy payments with interest-free payments and no credit check at all. Key9 has been used all over the world. Make sure you go and check out their stuff at CANNAE progear.com. Enter the promo code ZBT. 15 for 15% off. You can also, if you have any questions about the way that they're built, you can go ahead and just DM or Facebook or Instagram. You're going to get a response. They're going to talk to you. They're going to do all that stuff to make sure that you know you're getting exactly what you ordered. Go to CANNAE progear.com, promo code ZBT15 for 15% off. You're going to love that. Let's get started with the show. Well, Kate, I want to start off the show with you. I saw you got to do a little bit of a baby moon. It's baby moon season.
It's like a honeymoon, but without the sex or activities.
Yeah. So what did you guys do? We went on our baby moon. We went up to a lovely little city called Dallas and got to see where JFK got his brains blown out.
So romantic. We went up to the Finger Lakes, which is a huge wine region. So I should have rethought that because I can't drink.
Especially if you like ice wine. Big ice wine up there.
Big, you're right, chaps. Look at you. Yes, big ice wine area. But it's just really pretty. There's like a lot of easy, pretty views that don't require long hikes now for me. So a lot of like waterfalls you can drive up to, or you only have to hike 200 feet into the woods to see this pretty thing, which is perfect for me right now. Because I still get down on myself. I'm like, you little bitch, you can't make it up the hill. Like I still get mad. So it's like,
I know what a broken leg looks like. Yeah. That is not broken.
I'm like accusing myself of malingering after like, but it's like, so, but the only thing is now, have you guys ever had sciatica?
No.
One of my best buds had sciatica and he said that it would like knock him out. It's like a nerve pain in your ass basically, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've had a pretty severe back injury though. So I can relate on some sense.
I've been really lucky. Like my whole life, I've
like
avoided.
Christopher Reeve severe or
no, not that severe. Thankfully, not that severe.
But it goes down my left butt cheek. It like starts in my back, goes down my leg. Last night, I literally almost crawled to the bathroom. Every step is like agony. It's insane. And so that kind of put a damper on the weekend a little bit. So
And what does the internet tell you to do to quell that?
So many different things. I mean, when I asked Twitter, I'm like, Twitter, what do I do? And all these people are like, attach little electro beams to yourself. I'm like, I don't know if that's good for the baby. But anyways, yes, baby moon was lovely. It was nice to get away. It was so nice to see stars, to look up and see the stars up there. And there was like wolves howling in the distance. We stayed in the first place we stayed, of course, me and my $75 Airbnbs. The first place was on the edge of a cliff over this gorge looking over a waterfall, which seemed cool, but I didn't realize it was like student housing. So it was all college students. There's like beer pong tables out and like cups and people hanging out on Saturday night. Didn't know. And then the second one was in a shed on a farm.
You really could write a book with your
no hot water.
Airbnb, with your Airbnb
What?
adventures. You need to
Why?
write a book.
Kate,
I didn't know there wasn't going to be hot water.
Yeah, it seems like that's something you're going to want when there's snow and ice on the ground.
Yeah.
Indeed we did. So anyways, I'm rambling, but it was a lovely time. And Chaps, you looking at the new house today?
Yeah,
pal.
looking at buying a new house. Went and did the inspection today. Let me tell you, that fucking process, stupid. Buying a house is a racket. The things that they make you pay, the inspectors, the appraisals, like, oh, we don't know if we want to give you this loan or not. You're giving me the loan. I have great credit. Like, I'm putting enough money down. Shut up, dude. You're giving it to me. Like, you know you are. You know you are. I know you are. You know you are. Stop with the fucking million emails. This guy calls me over and over and over again. I'm like, dude, I sent you my W-2s. I sent you everything I have. I don't know what else you want from me. I really don't know. I've given you every single thing that the government could possibly have about the amount of money that I make. What else do you need?
Actually, sir, we're going to need you to dump them out.
I mean, that essentially, that's the only thing he could ask me for. And instead of sending like a normal email and being like, hey, do you have any questions? He'll send me an email. 2 minutes later, he'll call me. Do you have any questions about the email?
My guy, I didn't even read it yet.
If I have questions about the email, Chris, I'll call you regarding my questions about the email, or I will send you an email back detailing the questions that I have about the forms that you could possibly need.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know how they
goes,
could possibly need all this stuff.
Email goes two ways. It's not a one-way street. You can respond to him. I appreciate that he's very attentive to you, though. I have to imagine I'd rather have that problem than someone who's not giving me all the information that I need.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can go that way. Like, having somebody that's responsive is good. It's just, the process of what they need, as long as you can show how much money you have, that you've paid taxes on that, and that you're not doing money laundering. Other than that, get out of my face with it. You don't need to know how much I paid at my last HOA. Like, why do you need the HOA agreement? Why?
You definitely don't. No,
what is that? I mean, I could show you how much I paid last year. Like, that's all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who cares how many times I didn't take out the fucking trash, which is a lot, I would say. A lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. It makes you think back to maybe the military, maybe on a little lesser extent, but certainly as professional athletes and professional coaches who have to move all the time and have to go through this process. Like, conceivably, Chaps, you did it for the house you're currently in. You're doing it for your new house. There's a good chance you don't move again after this. Maybe if you do, it's one more time to maybe you want to downsize once you get rid of your children.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not a process that most people go through multiple times through their life. So just think about if you had to do this all the time with the amount that
I mean, it is a lot like the military. There's no reason that the average Lance Corporal needs to check into the S2 shop. There's just no reason for it at all, but they still have to. They still have to go down to those. You don't need all that gear. 90% of the time, like when you check into a SIF, you don't need that shit. You're never going to use that. You're just going to get it. It's going to sit in your closet, and somehow, miraculously, when you go to turn it in, they're going to tell you it's not clean, even though it was just sitting there.
Yeah. No, that's so right. But it's one of those things where, well, this is just what we've issued since the beginning of time. So we're just going to continue to issue everything like this. Whereas the same thing with buying a home, just because this is how it's always been done, where we pay for inspections and all these other costs, that doesn't mean we can't evolve and make it more efficient at this point in the year of our Lord 2021.
And dude, this is the end all be all. And last thing I'll say about this house process for this week anyways, there is websites. It is available for you to put in what bank account you have, what credit card that you use primarily, and they can tell you everything you've spent that year, where it goes to, like food, what type of entertainment, all those things. They have printouts of everything. If you could do that, why do I have to do all this? You know, you could see it for 4 years in a row. I've been at Barstool for 4.5 years. For all 4.5 years, my direct deposit has been the same. You could take my fucking pay stubs, check to see that I get paid that much, and then you could see everything that I've spent it on, like $40,000 at Amazon this year. You know I have an Amazon problem. That's all you need to know. I can pay my bills. I get paid. So does my wife. We're fine. Just give us the house.
Yeah. And I'd appreciate if you stopped going through my personal effects,
Right.
looking at how much money I'm spending on Amazon.
Exactly right. And it's not even like I'm trying to head over to Slovakia and get a blowjob, right, Kate?
Absolutely. Yeah. So round number one, a robber in Slovakia was caught by police after a woman began performing a sex act on him, delaying him long enough for officers to reach the scene. She saved the day with a beeger. The man, a 24-year-old Serb, had been attempting to rob a gas station on the outskirts of Bratislava overnight on Tuesday. While trying to get money from the safe, a 36-year-old Czech woman began to perform oral sex on him before officers found the pair half naked on the floor. I mean, if you are looking for a way to slow a fella down,
I know.
That'll do it.
The story gets more interesting as we go along.
The bizarre incident began when the man ran into the gas station and demanded that staff hand over money in the register. The robber punched a staff member multiple times and then took the money. He went back.
See, now, if you're the fella or I guess it would be a fella or the lady who got punched, and then you look over and your coworkers giving a little service to the dude who punched you, that might put a little bit of a damper on your relationship.
But
the work Christmas party won't be the same after that.
But if you pop up and be like, I'm doing it till the cops come, then he'll understand.
Yeah.
So then after he punches the cash register guy and takes money, he goes into the back office where a second staff member was sitting and demanded they open the safe. Yeah. While the safe was being opened, the first member of staff ran outside and called the police. Meanwhile, a mystery woman appeared and began performing oral sex on the man, delaying his escape.
I need a video. Where you're a mystery woman and you all of a sudden just start sucking dick? That's what you do?
We're talking about Slovakia. This is the land of fairies and all sorts of, but I mean, this is a land of magic in my mind. So you never know who's going to come out of the woods.
That's how you view Slovakia?
And what kind of fairy? Maybe it's
the
Slovak blowjob fairy just happened to be going through the forest nearby.
Shout out Melania.
Yeah. In the meantime, the police turned up and were able to arrest the suspect. Officers said the man put up stiff resistance, wink, wink, and that coercive measures were used against him. It's not clear how the robber and the woman ended up doing this, but the investigation is ongoing.
Yeah, also, that's where they need to have the investigation ongoing. I don't care that the dude was trying to rob. How does he get his dick sucked when he's doing it?
And was she like, this is the only way I can keep him here until the cops come? Or second thought, people have all sorts of kinks and we never kink shame here on this show. Maybe she's really into bad boys and to actually see a bad boy in a bad boy act was like too much to handle.
Oh yeah. What if he's wearing like a leather jacket and is carrying around that framed pink bunny from like Uncle Jesse's room?
Right. And had cigarette behind his ear. Like, what if what if he was pretty much Uncle Jesse?
What an unbelievable callback that was.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Like you walk into the gas station and he's like back there and his wiener falls out of his pants and she's like, have mercy.
I know. So
what I'm thinking though is whatever the CIA equivalent in Slovakia is, they need to reach out to this woman because for her to keep her cool and to have the brain capacity to take all these steps to get to where she was doing this, that's somebody you need working for you and not just out on her own willy-nilly.
I think this is somebody who's clearly watched all 6 seasons of Homeland. That's a very Carrie move. Carrie would definitely suck dick to keep somebody in the room with them.
Like, just imagine how your brain works to go there, like knowing full well this would be very efficient.
She's got to be pretty good at it too, because like I'm sure he heard the cops coming. I'm sure he heard the sirens, but it was like, oh man.
Because you don't want to be stuck. You know, you got to move fast. Like
Yeah.
so you're like, but I'll suck your dick. I'm like, oh God, it's been a long, like COVID's going on. Like it's been a long time since I've been serviced. Let me see those sweet pancakes you got.
I know. So an impressive tale. Good for her.
All right, that's it for round number 1. That was a little blowjob talk. Round number 2. The Air Force has ordered a broad review of security for all its installations on Friday after an unarmed man got access to the flight line at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland and entered an aircraft used by top U.S. and military officials. And for those that are keeping score at home, Andrews Air Force Base is where they store Air Force One. That's a pretty important flight line. You could say that it's the most important flight line in the military, and you would be correct.
Is Andrews also the most mentioned flight line in television and movie history?
It's got to be. Yeah. There, I would think Dover comes in too. Like there is a lot of things that happened at Dover. Like, so that one might be one, but for sure, Andrews might be the most famous base that there is. Like that, like as far as widely known, like, cause you know about that base, and unbelievable commissary at Andrews, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah. Their whole commissary system there on Andrews is the nicest.
Wow.
You know who I believe that the culprit is already?
Who?
The person who dipped their toe in the pond by stealing that Humvee last week in LA. And then this week they're like, let me go up a step further. You were going to
say the blowjob lady that she went to a base and started sucking dick, and next thing you know, she's on a plane to Andrews.
It's a shame she wasn't there to stop this fella. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But scary thing.
Air Force leaders have asked the Air Force Inspector General to look into the breach, which happened on Thursday, as well as review security protocols, which Kate is a specialist at because she's a physical security expert. This would have never happened.
If they had higher curbs around the premises.
And can we also say, being an Inspector General, that might be the least job I would ever want. Like the inspector, because you just listen to people bitch all day. Like, oh, you didn't give me my med fast enough at the pharmacy. I'm going to contact the Inspector General. Like, I wouldn't care. If I was the Inspector General, like, wait like everybody else. Like that old dude that's giving you your medicine, he's fucking 87 years old. How fast do you reasonably expect him to move? He's a volunteer.
The only thing I can see about it is it's the only way I could technically ever be a general. So I get that I can get.
Yeah, that's fair. The article goes on to say everybody is taking this very seriously, said its Chief Pentagon spokesman John Kirby, adding that the Air Force already adjusted some of its security protocols at Andrews this morning, like not letting people in that don't belong in. Like that's a pretty good way to adjust. He did not provide details on those adjustments, but President Joe Biden is expected to arrive at Andrews later on Friday to fly home to Wilmington, Delaware. It seems like you should just drive, right?
Yeah, I was talking to my dad about this. Like, that's such a short ride. Like, I feel like it takes more time to get up in the air and get down. You
even get drink service on that.
Right.
Yeah, like, but you underestimate the fury of Northeast drivers stuck in traffic jams.
Okay, so why not take a Marine one? Why wouldn't you just use a chopper for this?
Yeah, the chopper would be a lot more economical, you would think. And they should adjust the rules where they allow him, because I think there's some federal rule where he's not allowed to take trains anymore. Like, because
man, that stinks.
Like, just let him ride the train, because that's a quick in and out.
Yeah, I think because that's the thing too. It put too many other people in danger. Probably it would put the train in target. It would put, I don't know. But I'll also say this: what if the mystery man who showed up was Joe Biden, who got confused by his schedule and he just showed up super early? It was like, where is everybody?
Mr. President, you're actually not flying. Like, oh, what do you mean I'm not flying? That's my day to fly. Well, you've actually never flown. You're not even a pilot. You're not even qualified.
Right. So that's my other theory on this.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Come here, Champ. Champ's back at the White House. He's not even here. So, according to Joint Base Andrews, the man entered the C-40 aircraft. Kate, off the top of your head, what's some of your favorite facts about the C-40 aircraft?
Boy, can she fly. I'll tell you that much.
That's exactly right. Wings. Thank you, Kate. It's assigned to the 89th Air Wing, and it's the C-40 is a smaller transport jet, primarily used by members of the cabinet, Congress, and military combatant commanders. Those aircraft are not generally used for presidential travel. The man was detained by security forces at the base and was booked and given federal summons for trespassing by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. I think you got to have a stronger charge than trespassing. Trespassing is what happens when you're in high school and you jump over somebody's fence and you're hanging out in their pool. That's trespassing.
Yes.
Getting onto a military flight line and goofing around in the cockpit seems a little more serious than just trespassing.
That sounds like espionage, at least minimum.
And then there's another story that we're going to have today that has that. I think terminology really throws you aback because in words like trespassing, I always assume trespassing is a very minor thing. And hazing, I do hazing. For me, hazing is a small thing. Hazing, like putting somebody into a dryer and putting them on spin cycle, that's not hazing. That's assault, brother.
Yeah, that's bigger than hazing.
To me, there's a big difference, and that's what's going on here. The security of our installation is paramount, said Colonel Roy Oberhaus, the vice wing commander of the third 16th wing at I had a Kate moment there at Joint Base Andrews. This was a serious breach of security, and Joint Base Andrews is investigating the incident to determine how this happened so it doesn't happen again. I gotta imagine if you're on security forces who don't like to be called SecFo. They don't like that, right? Kyle figured that out this weekend. They had a big letter that went out from one of their master sergeants. Everybody's like, hey, that's a derogatory term. Shut up.
What? Yeah.
Like, shut up, dude. It's an acronym. Yeah. Like, it's shorten it. Who cares? But they definitely have to look into this. If you are security forces on the flight line and somebody got into an actual cockpit and wasn't there, imagine the ass chewing you would get.
Oh, forget it. As we're talking, I have one more theory. Oh, this is from my own experience with my parents when I brought my parents to show them around Camp Pendleton, and I take them up to the kennels and I turn around and they're running at my dad saying, stop filming. Like, what are you're not supposed to film in this. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I lost track of the old guy for a second there. Could be a dad visiting the base who was like, this is fucking sweet. We got a plate, like who just oblivious, who got into the wrong. When I used to work the Philadelphia Flower Show, when I was working concessions, that building takes up like 5 city blocks. And people in their 30s would bring their older parents and 40s would bring their older parents to the flower show. That building had like 20 miles of background nooks and crannies where the public was not supposed to go. I found so many olds in the nooks and crannies just lost. Like in a dark hallway, like making my way from point A to point B.
You come back here, Grandma. My fingers hurt. I don't want to do the arrangements anymore.
People do, and it's like we have.
Now your
security.
back's gonna hurt. You just pulled all day landscaping.
But there'd be like cameras and security, and somehow people still found their way into whatever nooks and crannies just by being like, "Whoa, where does this go?" And next thing you know, you're like,
"Yeah." The age of the offender here would very much give us some insight onto who it was and why they were there. Also, Colonel Roy Oberhaus, not to be confused with Colonel Roy Orbison, just for those wondering. This is like really not encouraging. That I would think of all the joint bases, Andrews would be the most heavily secured, considering who comes in and out of there. So this is a little disturbing. So, hey, Air Force, figure it out.
And this is a big time show where we appreciate mental health and mental health concerns and all that stuff. But I just need to say that when it comes to going to a flower festival or a flower party, I would rather kill myself than go.
Go to the flower show?
I mean, that seems like the last place on planet Earth that I would ever want to go to.
Oh, it's outside this year, and I can't wait to drag Pat.
Oh, wow. Well,
what a treat.
Good for Pat.
The only way that I would go is if I had a little bit of 3Chi in my pocket. It's the industry leader in Delta 8 THC products. All products are formulated by a biochemist and made in the USA with USA grown hemp. 3Chi's Delta 8 is a federally legal version of THC, so you can have that in your pocket. You can keep it in your dick skinner, and ain't shit anybody can do about it. Suck it, Mayor Bloomberg. No, he's not the mayor anymore. De Blasio.
Yeah, he stinks too, if you're wondering.
Yeah, he stinks out loud. It's available online at 3chi.com. That's the number 3chi.com and retailers around the country. You must be 21 to purchase. And remember, it's not CBD. It's actually psychoactive. It'll give you a buzz. It'll give you a buzz so much like it might have done for me. I believe it was Saturday night. So Saturday night, I tried a different type that I haven't had before. And when you switch like strains of it, I guess it hits you differently. It hit me so hard. I was laughing hysterically at, at like these TikToks where they had this snake where the snake kept opening his mouth and he would stick his little tongue out and do little snake tongue wiggles. And every time he would open his mouth, it was synced up with that one audio where it's like, oh God, oh my God, he's on X game mode. Like the snake with his tongue out was like looking at this other snake that was climbing up a tree, like it was going around in the tree. And he was looking at the snake like, oh my God, he's on X Games mode. And I fucking lost it. I was laughing for like 15 minutes. When I woke up the next day, my wife looked at me. She was like, I think yesterday was a little much.
We know we get text messages from you after 11 p.m. I know they're 3G text messages, and I say I'm gonna wait.
I'm gonna let this one just sit out there a little bit.
That's fair. And then I go back and I'm like, maybe I should have kept that one in the old drafts. If you want to have that experience, go to 3chi.com into the promo code ZBT2021, and you're going to get that for 5% off your order. Make sure you go check it out. They're awesome. I love their product. Round number 3. It's going to be talking about our beloved Marine Corps. Kate, what do we got going on here?
You know me, I'm big anti-hazing lady, so this really got my goose. Okay. A year after a Marine drill instructor was sentenced to 10 years behind bars for hazing Muslim recruits, throwing one in an industrial dryer and figuring in another's death.
Whoa.
Follow it.
Sorry. Don't need that alarm anymore. Boy, yikes.
That's a radio alarm.
Yeah, it is. It's the radio alarm. My goodness. Should I start over?
Nope.
No, keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. Wait, let me make sure I turned it off. Oh, okay. Now I'm making it weird.
No, that's good.
Everyone on the show, I'm turning off. Okay. Okay. A data shows that nearly 9 out of 10 hazing reports in the military still come from our beloved Marine Corps.
And see, this one, I think I actually talked to Hope about this, or I tweeted at Hope about this because she wrote this article. It's from militarytimes.com. And to me, like the 10 years for hazing a Muslim recruit, that's not hazing. You assaulted him, like, and damn near like you almost killed him. Like it's nearly attempted murder. So having like that distinction between hazing and that level of hazing, I don't think it's fair to what the normal hazing would. You wouldn't consider that hazing. I hear that. Hazing doesn't pop into my brain. Assault does, or manslaughter does, like not hazing.
Well, the Marine Corps, the smallest in the Defense Department by service, by population, with the exception of the Space Force, owns the lion's share of hazing complaints and substantiated hazing incidents. The data from 2018 shows that 256 out of 291 total hazing complaints that year, more than 88% were from the Marine Corps, and 91 of 102 substantiated hazing incidents took place among Marines. Navy, distant second with 17 complaints and 10 substantiated. Army, 13, none substantiated. And Air Force, 5, 0 substantiated. At the time of the reporting, 71 total complaints had been found unsubstantiated, 110 were pending a decision, and 8 were inconclusive if unknown. There is a hazy line of what hazing is in the military. Like I look back at certain things and I'm like, was that hazing or was that whatever? I don't know.
Well, by the letter of the law, so much is hazing that we would just probably all the 4 of us would all brush off and say, that didn't really bother me so much. But if an outside source were to look at it, they would say, that's hazing.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, it used to be that way when I would get like a review. So one time there, I was the company gunner sergeant and I had this fat Marine. And
Kate already hates the story.
This fat Marine came into my office and I gave them I gave them a verbal correction. I corrected their actions verbally and I was very loudly. I want to ensure that they heard me and that the message was relayed to the rest of the Marines that were in the building too. And the major that was next door, that was like my office suite mate, he came out And when he would come out, the Marines knew that they were fucked when I almost said his name, when he would come out and he would shut my door. Like if I was yelling at a Marine, it was almost like the green light for me to go further, and he knew it and I knew it. And so when that door got shut, like the look of fear in other Marines' faces was just, it was just so perfect. But like I think that there is, if you look back at my career, there certainly would be things that would be hazing that I still think have a big place in a branch like the Marine Corps. It might not translate to the Air Force. It really might not. It might not translate to the Coast Guard, but there's elements about the Marine Corps, the Army too. And I think the reason why the Army doesn't have any is because you guys did it right in having empowerment for the NCOs, where the NCOs have the ability straight from the jump to tell somebody to drop and give me push-ups. If you do that in the Marine Corps, it's considered hazing. Like you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's a little silly to me because
I agree.
A physical correction like that, ultimately you're helping them because you're doing physical activity that is going to make them stronger. And it's not meant to be malicious. It's not meant to torture or to hurt them in any way. So,
but in the military, there is some value to corporate shaming. Like there really is.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, by the sheer definition of the word, like we said, I mean, you guys haze me on this show, on this very show. You guys haze me. So, it's just part of it. I don't know.
Kyle shuts the door and lets chaps go off on cons. Well, the data provides what could be a troubling snapshot taken shortly after the Marines faced national scrutiny over hazing episodes at Parris Island. Other Marines who trained recruits were found to have inflicted chemical burns requiring skin grafts, the result of forced physical training on a bleach-covered floor, and other naked trainees to run back and forth and then jam together against the walls of a shower.
See, I don't see the problem with that one.
We used to have to do shit like that.
Yeah, not to butt.
Like,
that's
I
a thing.
remember that. Pretty not fun. In all, 8 drill instructors faced, especially when you all have enormous bushes by month 2.5.
Oh, I thought you were going to be talking about enormous dicks. I was like, that wasn't an issue in my experience.
No. We all got our razors taken away immediately in our first week. In all, 8 drill instructors faced some level of punishment over the Parris Island hazing scandal because of national attention, and investigations resulted in a slew of recommendations for change. That same year, crackdown on hazing within 1st Marine Division in California resulted in at least 18 Marines getting kicked out of the Corps, 30 spending time in the brig. And I remember from my time out there, things would escalate to where somebody gets promoted and okay, they put the new rank on and we all walk up and we shove, before they put the backers on, you shove the pins of the new rank into their skin, into their collarbones. Like we all had that done to us and we all did that to everybody else. But then some other people would take it to the next level. Well, now everybody gets to kick him. And now everybody gets to do this. And we had Marines, like I heard stories where like it did permanent damage and actually ruined people's like it got out of control. The hazing that would result from that got out of control and like fucked up people's careers.
And that's the reason why you can't allow some of that stuff to happen now.
Right, exactly.
And it's bullshit, because if you appreciate the traditions and the values and having that, I mean, when I got promoted, anytime I got promoted after the rank of corporal and people would do that and they would shove it into your collarbone or whatever, it never bothered me because nobody ever did it like maliciously, like where they're intentionally, like you usually just go up and you just give it like a little thud in there, like congratulations, you give them a little thud, but you would have those fucking idiots who are like trying to jam it down into it, because those are the people that ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, he was always like the biggest piece of shit too. Like the guy nobody liked. He would be the one that went high and to the right with it.
Yeah, stuff like that would just totally escalate. This, I also have to say, I feel like I got almost as bad, if not worse, hazing on my rugby team back in the day. We had to do some pretty awful shit. But,
I mean, the one point that's kind of stuck out to me here, that where I was just talking about forced physical training, I'm okay with that. Forced physical training on a bleach covered floor, that doesn't add anything. And that's just harmful. So that's stupid. That's stupid.
Right.
That's just mean for the sake of being mean. So don't do things like that.
But that was common, like scuzz breast the bulkhead. And then you have and then you just do it over and over again. And then one of the guys that I was really good friends with, he probably never saw Sergeant Major because of some incidents like this. He was at OCS and threw laundry detergent in one of the candidates' faces, and it gave him like a burn in his eye, and he got in trouble for that, like got an adverse fitness report. And so he was never, ever going to get promoted from things like that. But I think that like there is a big difference. Like when the article goes on and says that the Marine Corps, 60% of hazing incidents were physical and 32 were verbal. Like to me, the verbal hazing is probably where I draw like a big distinction too. Like you can have things that you say to somebody that the normal public would be considered mean, where I don't think it's hazing. I think it's appropriate and that you are direct and like straightforward. But there is a point where like you have to, as a leader, your mission is not to tear somebody down. Your mission is to build them up and make them better Marine, soldier, sailor, airman, whatever. Like that's your job. If the verbal correction that you're giving gets in the way of their troop development, that's when it becomes a problem. And the way that you approach the individual Marine or whoever in your care and how you train that individual person differs from person to person as well.
Yeah. And ultimately, if you have to rely on hazing and like psychological stuff to control your Marines, you suck at leadership. You're just a shitty leader and you don't know actually how to lead. You just
have PTSD and you really need to get treated.
You need to go to therapy. Yeah.
Love you. Yeah. So often too, you get, junior leaders, both enlisted and the officer side, who get put in these leadership positions because that's what their rank says, right? And I think just because you have achieved a certain rank doesn't always translate that you should be put in those leadership roles. You might need a little more time in the oven to cook and develop your leadership style, especially when you consider some of the ages of some of these positions. Like at 23, did I know, what I know now at 36? Of course not. But there I was in charge of 33 other, young men in the Army, all the way up to, 35, 36 years of age. So I think it's important to, if you are a little bit of an older leader, to keep a close eye on those younger leaders and make sure they're not just yelling for the sake of yelling and hazing and physical corrections for the sake of it, and actually have some purpose behind what they're doing.
And our promotions are kind of silly too, like across the board, because it takes so long. Like you could definitely identify people who have more leadership traits, the more desirable leadership traits, but there's a system in place that prevents them from being promoted quickly. I just got very fortunate in the unit that I was in, that I had a very open-minded CO and I had a very open-minded first sergeant, or else I wouldn't have been placed in the billets that I was in. Like, and what you're saying about rank and not getting that confused, that used to be one of my favorite lines, is when I was a sergeant, an E5, and E6s and E7s would work for me. I used to love bringing them into my office and be like, don't confuse your rank with my billet. Like there is a big difference.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, just that's a very tough thing to swallow too. In organizations like the military that are built upon so much about what's on my chest and what this says about me, to have someone of a lower rank say something like that to you, that's almost impossible to swallow.
Yeah, one of the gunnies told me when I was in my office, when I was a company gunner sergeant, to go to parade dress, and I was like, no.
Nope, not gonna happen.
Not gonna do it.
The final note I have on this that the article touched on was that why the Marines, like why is the Marines the most prevalent one? If you look at pop culture, the Marine Corps and pop culture, and Full Metal Jacket, A Few Good Men, pretty much every movie. What's the other one? The Pen is an Ink Stick, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, Jarhead.
Jarhead. Hazing is such a part of the culture. And those are movies that like teen guys who want to join the Marine Corps idolize. Yeah, and so to them, they're like, hazing is fucking cool, and like
you gotta go just
supposed to be
the smallest step forward and realize, oh wait, Full Metal Jacket is set in the 60s. Few Good Men is the early 90s. Jarhead is the early 90s. That's 30 years ago now, minimum. So you got to be a little smarter.
But those are the ones that
and we still view it that way. Like young enlisted leaders in the Marine Corps, if you hear a young sergeant screaming at Lance corporals, you're like, that guy's pretty squared away.
Yeah.
Or she's pretty squared away. Like that's the way that we look at it. You are judged by your ability to chew somebody's ass out in a lot of ways. It's crazy. And I don't think it'll ever change, but there is some things that do change. I just had issues with framing really violent things where people can die as hazing. To me, it's a little bit more.
I think it starts with hazing and slips into that. I think it starts with hazing and not people not whatever, but
Yeah,
I will miss. I used to make batches of sugar cookies in boot camp. They'd make us put sunscreen real thick on our faces and then go out to the sand pit and boom, plunk our little heads down. And we made little sugar cookies. At the time, I thought I was like, look at me becoming a Marine. And in hindsight, I'm like, that wasn't helpful. That didn't mean anything.
Same thing with like just standing there and letting the bugs bite you for no reason.
Yeah. They need their dinner too. And you're like, I guess that checks out.
Why does everybody have, what is that called? Fucking that infection. Yeah, that infection that everybody gets. It's like in a blister.
Staph infection?
No, but it's like that.
Ringworm?
No.
We had to check each other. We had to spin in circles in our underpants every night and check each other for
cellulitis.
Yeah,
cellulitis goofing. All right, let's move on to round number 4. This is probably the most viral story of the weekend, and I was following it along and just loved it. Like when I first saw the very first TikTok of this woman, we'll hear the clip in just a second, but I thought it was a joke. I thought this is something that she's doing just for TikTok clout. It's going super viral. Turns out that was not the case. It really happened. Here's what we're going to be talking about. Here's the clip.
Hey, y'all. For those of y'all that know me, know my hair has been like this for about a month now. It's not by choice. No, it's not by choice. When I do my hair, I like to, finish it off with the little Got to Be glue spray, just to keep it in place. Well, I didn't have any more Got to Be glue spray, so I used this Gorilla Glue spray. Bad.
All right, so this woman went viral for having used Gorilla Glue spray on her hair, and she has several videos on her TikTok page where she's talking about it. The one that got me, though, was... and I could totally see going into a barracks, doing an inspection, you're doing like a uniform inspection, and one of your Marines has put, or whoever has put, Gorilla Glue in their hair to make it go down, or they had done something with Gorilla Glue. I imagine it's a problem amongst the ranks right now, but she put it in her hair to make it look as flat as possible. And then the next video, people were like, well, let me see you shampoo in your hair to make sure. She puts the shampoo, is doing like the finger rubbing motion to get it all going. And then she just takes a rag and wipes it on her hair, and all of the shampoo and conditioner just go away. Like it doesn't soak in. It doesn't start to go in her hair or anything.
She made her hair the same material as that of the exterior of a car, basically, with this grill spray. And the shame is, her name's Tessica Brown. She had a similar bottle she shows of in a second video. Here's the hairspray I normally use, and this Gorilla one, and there's a brand of hair gel called Gorilla Snot that looks so, I think she mixed it up somehow. And
so this was a mistake.
Oh, big time.
If you have ever gotten Gorilla Glue stuck on your hands just doing a small project around the house, that shit,
it takes forever to get off.
Dude. She'll probably honestly have to shave her head. She probably is going to have to get.
They couldn't shave it. Like they were trying to, because they couldn't even get like the edge of the clippers underneath. They said that they might end up having to like almost chisel her hair away.
Oh,
like,
that's terrible.
They sent her away until that she could talk to a specialist, because the people at the ER had no idea what she was going to do. I mean, this is an issue that you would have. One of your junior troops would do this. One of my favorite pictures, because imagine if you're not a person that lives on social media, or you don't go on social media, when something like this happens, the memes that go along with it are just absolutely beautiful. There was somebody named Vinny put out this tweet. If I ever slick down my hair with Gorilla Glue, I'm gonna be bashing through some walls like this. And it's the dinosaur that has the huge skull with the horns around it.
That is a Pachycephalosaurus, chaps, by the way. I'm a big dinosaur lady. And that's one of my,
you're a big dinosaur.
One of my favorite, the Pachycephalosaurus with the hard dome. But yes, she does look like that. And I can see women in them, especially when you first get to the fleet, you take so much pride in how slick back your pony, like your bun is, and like how slick. We would pull them so tight when we first got in that we would all have these like goiters and like acne on the back of our necks from pulling the pores of our hair out of our heads. Headaches, all that stuff. I can see people seeing it, because let's be honest, her hair looks great.
It looks
fantastic. It does.
Yeah, looks really squared away.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Kate. Like I have to imagine too, if there's just one hair out of place, it's just annoying. So you're like, you would put anything in your hair up to and including Gorilla Glue if it meant that your hair would look within regs and look good.
I also need to know, because if you're putting it on there, I would imagine you have to like dab your hair or run a comb through it or something. Like, wouldn't you take your hand off and be like, huh, this is a little stronger than normal.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't continue down this process.
Yeah. And it burns. Regular Gorilla Glue, I've gotten my fingers stuck together many times, and that shit is rough, dude.
Yeah, so they said they didn't know what they were going to do with her hair. I just imagine, I would bet that there's some corpsman that's had to deal with this. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
And I don't know what you would do.
I don't know either, because it sounds like she went online and tried to get a lot of different remedies to help her, and to no avail. Because
I mean, the only thing I could think of working with this, because I've had to get Gorilla Glue off of stuff. I mean, like acetone, like you have those type of things. But
more things you don't want to put on.
You don't want that in your hair. You don't want that on your face, and you're gonna be raw.
Yeah.
Like what's going? Her skin can't even breathe. I bet she's gonna get prickly heat because she's gonna have clogged pores.
Oh no. Gosh, imagine Gorilla Glue. You're not getting that. You're not getting that out of there anytime soon. You're gonna have prickly heat for weeks. That is, I'll tell you, that is a fate I would not wish on my own worst enemy. Prickly heat on your head? Come on.
No, dude. I'm looking at her head in the picture when she goes through and she does it and she puts the soap on her hair, and then when she wipes it off, the look of pain on her face, not like physical pain, but emotional pain. You know, when you're, I guess like Kate, when you're about to have a baby, when you have something, like for me, getting shot wasn't that bad. If you'd have told me 2 weeks before, hey dude, in 2 weeks you're getting shot, it would have been way worse, because I would have known that the pain is coming, which I think makes it just so much worse. She has the look on her face when she realizes just how big her fuck up was, that she knows that she's going to be in pain. Like when you're getting body wax, like a Brazilian wax, and they put the wax on you, it's at that moment, you know, what's going to happen in the next 30 seconds is really going to suck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's how she had to have felt.
Tessica, Godspeed.
Yeah, my heart goes out to her. Goodness gracious.
All right, let's move on to round number 5, where we're going to talk a little bit about nuclear reactors and quantum theory, because that's what we do here on ZBT. Kate, walk us through this science episode.
Well, you know me, old science head ass.
That's why they call you Katie Nye.
Scientists are using Kate. Scientists are using nuclear reactors to test a quantum theory that flips our understanding of time on its head. I feel like I don't need to say much more than that. I think we all understand what that means. Physicist Joan Vaccaro first articulated the divisive quantum theory of time, that dynamics may be phenomenological consequence of fundamental violation of reversal symmetry. In her words, a few years ago.
In her words.
Researchers can use neutrinos and antineutrinos to measure the passage of time within a powerful nuclear reactor.
Now, when I saw this, it reminded me of that scene. Have you guys ever watched Genius?
No.
It's on like Nat Geo, and they'll go through some of the smartest people who've ever lived, like Galileo and Einstein and those like Pythagoras and all those people. Well, they did Einstein one day, and they were showing Einstein as like this 25-year-old guy, and he was hanging out in front of a window. And it shows like, you know, when you could see the beams of light that are coming, there's like little dust particles that are floating in the air where you could see it. And Einstein, like the person playing Einstein, he's like, well, if this equals that, then this equals, and that's time. And then they put the actual like equation. I'm like, okay. Like you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you come up with this mathematical, you use fucking letters, you use algebra. Get out of town.
No, these people, it's so ridiculous because we're not even, the whole way through this article. No matter what this article says, I don't have the level of intelligence necessary to combat anything said in this article. So I think all of these people are operating on such a level of intelligence that no matter what they say, it could be wrong, but I can't do that.
I just scrolled through the whole thing and I still don't understand what the article is about. Except that they're trying to figure out they're trying to figure out time, and time only moves forwards, but they're using a nuclear reactor.
I know about 1.21 gigawatts. That's what I know about time. And that's what you need in the flux capacitor to get going on time travel. Boom.
That's exactly right.
I saved you a click.
And I'll tell you this. Anytime you use the word phenomenological,
what is that? That's a fake word.
I'm out. Well, it goes on to say that this theory is a far out educated guess rather than a sure thing. And the finding should be interesting.
What's the theory?
That they have, I don't know. Like, I don't know what a neutrino is. I don't know what an antineutrino is. It's a powerful nuclear reactor. They want to say, so it does explain it. I'll go into it a little bit. They say what's going on when time passes. That depends on who you ask, but the passage of time is still a pretty big mystery. For people, time flows in what seems like one direction, from the past and into the future. Physicists, however, moreover, generally explain this as time flowing from lower into higher entropy or disorder. You got that, Kate?
No, I'm not following.
So Vaccaro essentially believes that entropy might result from time, not the other way around. New Atlas's Michael Irving reports Hall of Fame wide receiver, which is incredible that Michael Irvin knows all of this stuff. Vaccaro uses the analogy of a tree blowing in the wind, while the leaves, which would be entropy, as we all know, may appear to be shaking by the tree. They aren't responsible for the motion themselves, but are the result of another force. The wind, chickadee.
I'm way too pregnant for this round.
In the new theory, the wind is created by time reversal symmetry violations. Are we getting it now, folks?
No.
The analogy of the tree goes further because it represents a split. Vaccaro identifies the idea of space-time as one word and one knitted together concept rather than space and time, but rather you remove the and it's one thing. A tree stands in space as a localized, specific, discrete object, but time flows around all things most interchangeably, except for the specific cases where it's bent. You got to remember the bent time. If time is localized, it is huge regions of space, like entire planets or systems. I get it now.
I get what she's saying, but none of this is interesting because it's just too ridiculous. It's not interesting.
There's only one thing that ever helped me because I had to take a few when I was doing the dental hygiene school thing, and I had to take a bunch of science classes. There was only, I would use use mnemonic devices and different songs to help you remember. The only thing that is reminding me of this that helped me understand time theory a little bit, and you guys probably recognize it, this song.
Yeah, that helps for sure.
Honey, why you calling me so late?
So I thought you were gonna mention Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but that works too.
Not gonna do that. They go on to talk about atomic clocks and proximity to the reactor, where they put an atomic clock. I don't know what an atomic clock is, but I was very interested because China is actually going to be using some form of this type of technology, I guess, in one of their state-backed particle physics labs, and has refuted a document that claimed that it has research and it has hired a private company to build an actual time machine. The Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of High Energy Physics has no connection to this company that they said that they're doing it. The mythical device could prolong life by using Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity to distort space-time. Was supposed to have been blessed by Carlos Cao, a Nobel Prize
no idea what this round is about.
China's going to try to fucking have a legit, I think, great glass elevator. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Whatever. We still have Christopher Lloyd. We have Christopher Lloyd, so we're ahead of them as far as I'm concerned.
I think what Einstein's theory is that the closer you could move to the speed of time, the less you would physically age. So
cool. Whatever, nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Kyle.
All right. I'll go back to mute. Love you guys.
All right. So yeah.
Why don't you go back to your hole?
So that's space and time, but I imagine every platoon has somebody who dabbles in that shit. I used to make fun of those people all the time. I had a dude named Schilling that he would constantly bring around. Who's that fucking dude that speaks with a robot voice?
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, he would
Sit on my face.
he would always bring a particle in time around everywhere. Like, dude, no one understands what that book's about. No one.
No
Even
shot.
Stephen Hawking's like, this is just some made up shit.
Yeah, that's my point. Is all these people who are so uber smart, you make you think and sit back and say, well, are they? If no one else can understand what the heck they're talking about, are they really that smart?
Yeah, explain time. And then he does it and like, okay, cut your own steak. And he can't.
God, that's terrible.
What?
Hmm.
Oh
Who's
no.
facts? Was that hazing?
Saved rounds, anyone?
All right, let's move into safe rounds and alibis. Kyle, we'll start with you.
Fucking Christ.
Thank you.
Well, for the last year, Jesus
I'm
Christ.
sorry.
I mean, that's the end. Like, that's got to be the end. Sorry, 337 episodes. It's been a good run. You guys did a good job. Now
Oh
It was
man.
We're
okay
out
while
on-
it lasted.
we're out on Stephen Hawking not being able to cut his own steak. Anyways, yeah, there have been no combat deaths in Afghanistan for 1 whole year now.
Wow.
That's right.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I read it and I'm like, no fucking way, right? That can't be right. But yeah, for the last 12 months, 365 days, there have been no combat deaths in Afghanistan, which is really great news. So yeah, that's actually, I mean, it's something to celebrate. We're still in that shithole doing absolutely nothing good, but at least no one died in the last year from combat
is.
deaths.
That's
So-
great news.
Well, it's a step in the right direction, I guess,
Surely,
in some
yeah.
ways. So
It is because I mean, there's still a lot of Afghanis are still getting killed, but
right.
and that's terrible. But yeah, that's all I have. I thought that was kind of neat and a little pick me up after
But after that,
doing-
whatever the
yeah,
time thing was.
whatever that was.
All right, Kay, what about you?
Nothing. I just would like to address how I look recently. I'm just very rotund. My face, my hair, everything just looks wacky and sad. And people are like, you're like retaining liquid in your eyeballs. Like people are pointing stuff out. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. So that's all I wanted to say. Said I'm ugly.
I think
now.
you're doing fantastic. I think
Thanks.
you're taking care of yourself. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the Bambino.
Yeah, we're 6 weeks out, people. It's coming up quick.
Jeez.
6
Yeah.
weeks. I don't know what we're gonna do when you leave.
I feel like in my head, I'm like, how hard could it be? I can still do the
Oh.
show. Like I feel like I can still do it. I don't know.
Maybe we'll just have to bring back Kate's corner. Maybe that's
Anyway, that's it.
Cons.
So from round 3, the part of the story where they talked about the industrial dryer, I definitely would expect to hear about just soldiers or Marines getting into an industrial dryer by themselves, like
Mhm.
drunk in the barracks on a Friday night. Like, oh, let's see what
No doubt,
happens.
there's plenty of videos on TikTok of that.
Yeah, exactly. So
Absolutely.
that's important to note. And then the last two, did you guys see that the SAG Screen Actors Guild has now permanently banned former President Trump?
Well, that's not true.
No?
They told him that he was in violation, and he said that he wanted to withdraw himself from it and that he wasn't going to be put on bad standing because they're going to put him on bad standing. And he said, I want to leave. And they just responded back in a letter, thank you. And that was
Yeah,
all they
okay.
said.
Well,
No,
that really
let's-
puts.
I mean,
You can't fire me, I quit. Sort of thing.
let's
That
let's
just
separate the
really-
man, the politics from his acting. He did some pretty great stuff on the
Phenomenal in
silver
Home
screen.
Alone 2.
Little
Yeah.
have we
Little
forgotten about
Rascals?
Little Rascals?
Yeah,
Great. And he was also
Yeah.
great in The Simpsons.
Yes.
True.
So
And-
it really puts a damper on the Home Alone 2 reboot, but such is life. He's made his bed. Now he has to lie in it. I get
Mhm.
it. Whatever. And then lastly, I think it's awesome that our Vice President Harris is working out. I don't know if you guys saw this video, but there is a video. She's climbing up and down steps outside of one of the memorials. I don't know which one it was, but then it's just funny because her Secret Service is there in their dress clothes and their shoes, and they're kind of like meandering up and down the steps. Now this is a little bit of a gray area because I didn't see her posting it, but people who post about their workouts, you can kick rocks. I don't need to know
Thank you.
that you're working out, that you're running on steps. I don't need to
Oh,
know.
wow.
Oh,
Shots fired at
chaps.
Erica Nardini. Wow.
And
Whoa,
you, chaps.
our CEO.
Mm.
Oh no.
Wow.
I had not
Uh,
thought about that. Hold
Mhm.
on
Nope.
quickly while
Nope.
I figure
Also,
my way
shots
out
fired
of
at
this one.
Trent for the elliptical gang. Wow.
Elliptical gang.
Yeah.
Boy, the whole big ad campaign we have going
Like
right now.
The
for
big
95%
whoop
of
thing that
the
we got
army?
going on.
Yeesh.
You want to throw a hike in Rocky boots? Yeesh.
You.
Yeah.
No, do all these things. Do all these things, but maybe don't post during them.
No.
Share your joy at it. Wow.
And a
Okay.
company that relies
All
on
right.
social media, Cons
All
is
right.
saying that people
Wow.
shouldn't do social media.
All right,
Wow.
I might have stepped in it. Oh no.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna stop
I hope
talking.
no one pulls this and tags Erica in it and puts it on Twitter. That
Yeah.
would be,
Mhm.
I mean,
That'd be an
I
ugly
don't
thing to
think-
do.
yeah,
Mhm.
that would be really, that'd be uncouth.
Mhm.
Mm.
I don't really have anything. I'm excited for my kid went back to school. Today was the first day McCartney was back at school since last March. It was an amazing feeling. Just
Yeah.
opening the Tahoe door and being like, you just get out of here. Just get out. Having them out here is awesome. I'm looking forward to a normal last month in this house and moving on to a new house with a beautiful pool. It's going to be exciting.
Exciting.
Cannot wait. It'll be a great time. Come back on Friday. Make sure you check out Gone Fishing that I do with Carl. Make sure you check out Out and About that Kate does with Pat. Boston
A
Pat,
Bella
mind you.
Danger. A Bella
Oh.
Danger on this episode, and we made her cry.
Did you? What? Why
Yeah.
were you mean? Hazing?
No, we weren't hazing. It
You
just
hazed her. You hazed her.
Pat hit her with a question. The tears started flowing, so be sure to check it out.
How
She
did you
got
get
us
your
off.
butthole so big? Is that it?
No, she's got great
Butthole?
butt. Yes.
I always wonder that. Like, do you do like butthole conditioning?
She said it takes a lot of work.
Oh, I bet. I remember talking to Asa Akira about it, and she was like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, if I knew I had a big anal day coming up, you got to really watch what you eat. Like you got to do like a 24-hour fast. If you're gonna get absolutely butthole hammered, you gotta dial it back."
And that's hard to hear because my girlfriend who had a baby told me that her husband said her asshole looked like a cauliflower exploding. When
Okay.
that went down. So
Yeah.
she and I, me and Bella Danger have two very different assholes.
I always thought it
Everyone
was gonna
does.
look like one of
Yeah.
those
You're right.
thicker balloons that have like the long rubber band at the end
Mhm.
that you do like pop, 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 pop. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then you get them at the zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Right.
Oh, butthole paddle ball.
Something to think about.
Yeah, I guess we'll get more into that in Space Time Continuum on Friday. We'll see you then. It's on the retreat.